Right now, if the power went out in your house, you'd probably grab your phone for light within seconds. Now imagine that instinct, but there's no phone, no flashlight, no streetlight outside your window. Just darkness. Total, complete darkness, every single night, for your entire life. That was reality for every human who lived before artificial light existed. And it raises a question most people never actually think about. What did they do with all those hours? Because the night didn't pause just because the sun went down. Here's the part that surprises most people. Ancient humans weren't hiding in silence waiting for morning. The night was active. It was social. And in some ways, it may have shaped human behavior more than most of what happened during the day. Let's start with the obvious problem first. Darkness meant danger. Predators that struggled to hunt in daylight had a serious advantage after sunset. Big cats, hyenas, and other nocturnal hunters could see and move far better in low light than early humans could. So the very first priority every single night wasn't comfort. It was defense. This is where fire changes everything. Once early humans gained consistent control of fire, likely somewhere around 1,000,000 years ago, night stopped being pure vulnerability. Fire pushed back the darkness just enough to create a small protected zone. Predators that would normally approach confidently in the dark became hesitant near open flame. But fire didn't just protect bodies. Something interesting happened once humans had a reliable reason to sit still together after dark. Researchers studying modern hunter-gatherer communities, groups whose lifestyles offer the closest living comparison we have to ancient nighttime behavior, noticed something unexpected. During the day, conversations were mostly practical. Who found food? Where the water was? Who needs to go where tomorrow? But at night, around the fire, conversations shifted dramatically. People told stories. They discussed relationships. They passed down beliefs, warnings, and history. In other words, night wasn't just downtime. It may have been one of the most important social periods of the entire day. Here's where it gets more interesting. Some researchers believe this nightly firelight ritual wasn't just a nice bonus. It may have played a direct role in developing complex language and storytelling in early humans. Daytime activities require focus and constant movement. Nighttime, especially once fire provided safety, gave early humans something rare: extended, uninterrupted time to just talk. And storytelling wasn't only entertainment. It carried survival information. Which plants were dangerous? Which paths led to water? Which animals to avoid? Passing this knowledge through story, especially in a dramatic or memorable way, made it easier to remember and pass on to the next generation. But there's another side to ancient nights that's far less comforting. Even with fire, sleep itself was risky. A fully unconscious human is an easy target. So early human groups likely developed something modern humans rarely think about: rotating watch. Someone almost certainly had to stay awake, at least partially, while others slept. Some researchers suggest this might explain something strange about modern human sleep patterns. Unlike many animals that sleep in one long uninterrupted block, humans across many cultures historically experience something called segmented sleep, waking briefly in the middle of the night before returning to rest. Some scientists believe this pattern may be a leftover survival instinct. A biological alarm system built from thousands of generations of nights where staying fully unconscious for 8 uninterrupted hours simply wasn't safe. Which raises an interesting modern question. If ancient humans woke up briefly during the night as a normal biological pattern, why does waking up at 3 a.m. today feel like something's wrong with us? It's possible we're not broken. We might just be running an ancient survival program in a world that no longer requires it. Beyond survival and storytelling, night likely served another important function: bonding. Physical closeness at night, sleeping in close groups, wasn't just about warmth, though that mattered too in colder climates. Group sleeping reduced individual vulnerability. A predator approaching a tight cluster of sleeping humans faced far more resistance than one isolated sleeper. This means the people you slept near at night weren't random. Trust mattered. Group cohesion mattered. In a very real sense, nighttime arrangements may have reinforced social bonds that carried into daytime cooperation, hunting, and resource sharing. So when you put all of this together, ancient nights weren't just the boring hours between productive days. They were doing something essential. Fire provided physical protection. Storytelling passed down survival knowledge and strengthened language. Rotating watch kept the group physically safe. And close group sleeping reinforced the social bonds that made daytime survival possible in the first place. None of this happened by careful design. It emerged slowly, shaped by which behaviors kept groups alive long enough to reproduce and pass those same behaviors on. But the result was a nighttime routine that did far more than just get people through until sunrise. And here's the part worth sitting with. Some of these patterns never fully disappeared. We still gather around light sources in the evening, just now it's a television or a phone screen instead of a fire. We still tell stories at night, whether that's a bedtime story, a podcast, or a late-night conversation with a friend. Some researchers argue the reason nighttime still feels different, more intimate, more reflective, may trace directly back to these ancient patterns. Even our unease around silence and darkness might not be irrational fear. It might be an old, deeply wired instinct, from a time when that unease kept our ancestors alive. So the next time you're lying awake at 3 a.m. for no clear reason, or find yourself deep in conversation late at night in a way that feels different from daytime talk, consider this. You might not just be experiencing insomnia or random late-night thoughts. You might be running a survival pattern that's been running in the human brain for a very, very long time. What do you think ancient humans feared most once the fire went out? The darkness itself, or what might be waiting inside it? Let me know what you think down in the comments.